Today I want to share with you about another obedience. The last time you remembered I preached a series of the obedience. But I don't know, 2 months ago I preached to you obedience of Abraham, and last month obedience of Jesus. Then today's title, obedience of us. Obedience of us. So today the Bible verse, Deuteronomy chapter 31, 6 to 13, 16 to 22. But I want the whole chapter, but after the service, you try to read verse 1 to whole verse. Because this is a summary of Deuteronomy, even summary of the whole 5 book of Moses. The whole chapter is too long, so I just important verses I show you. Okay, let me remind our last sermon. Obedience of Abraham, he did not know where he was going, so it means trust God's plan. And he did not choose the good land first. So remember, God gives you something better or best, and he thanks for what will happen in the future. But be thankful for what you have now. So set apart and sanctified according to God's command. So be holy and full obedience, surrender all. This is about the obedience of Abraham. But how about Jesus? Obedience of Jesus. He is God, but he made himself nothing. And he humbled himself, so he coming into the human being. Then God exalted him to the highest place. God gave him the name that is above every name, because he obeyed all God's will. So now, today we think about obedience of us. So do we obey fully? So Israelites, they always disobedient. If you read the Bible, even they saw the miracles, 10 miracles. 10 miracles. There are many miracles, but 10th miracle is the killing the all firstborn of Egyptian people and even their livestock's firstborn. So they really saw the many miracles by God's hand. But when they escaped from Egypt, they reached to ocean. But Pharaoh and his army followed them to destroy them. But in front of them there is the ocean. Behind them there's an angry army follow them. So then what should do they in front of the ocean? They remember last 10 miracles God always gave us. Every curse on the Egyptian people except Israel. So they should respond. No problem. God made us safe. But they starting their complaint. So Exodus chapter 14, verse 11 and 12 says, they said to Moses, was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Didn't we say to you in Egypt, leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert. They just start last miracle. All firstborn died. The angel of death passed over the Israelites' houses. They very surprised. They thank to God. God save us. And also they packed all their stuff. Even the Egyptians, they gave them the many treasures. It is not far. Just very short time passed, but they reached to ocean. They saw the Egyptian chariots. They are afraid. They starting their complaint. What about us? What about us? Once we feel God's grace, how is continue your graceful life? The Israelites, they're starting their complaint. After that, God opened the ocean, they cross. They complain again. Israelites complain again. Just cross over the ocean. After 3 days, they found the water. They taste it's bitter. So they complain again. So Exodus chapter 16, verse 3. The Israelites said to them, if only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we said, abound the pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. But you have brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death. It is after they complain, continue, like this verse. There is no food. There's no food. What God did, He support, give them manna, yeah, and then birds as their food. But people, they complain, continue. Exodus chapter 17, verse 3 says, but the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, why did you bring us up out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock die of thirst? They always complain because of water, because of food. So neighbors, Egyptian neighbor, their firstborn die, they are safe, it's no problem. Because they still have a food, they're still alive. But Israel people, they complain. Even though God promised and Israelites an answer, they always complain. They always complain. Always complain. Especially at the desert of Sinai, God promised Israel. Exodus chapter 19, verse 4 to 6. You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and holy nations. These are the words you are to speak to the Israelites. God, He knows. They always complain. They always rebel. Even though God ordered to Moses, so tell them like this, His promise. His promise. There is option, condition. Now, if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. God has a plan for us. It's abundant blessing. He prepared. If you obey fully and keep my covenant, then the whole blessing is yours. But that times, Israel people, they answered to him. Exodus chapter 19, verse 8. The people all responded together. We will do everything the Lord has said. So Moses brought their answer back to the Lord. Their answer is, we will do everything the Lord has said. So they say, yes. God give us the promise with condition. Then their answer is yes. So Moses delivered their answer to God. But next, what happened? Israelites' complaint continues. Israel continued, complain. This is same to us, same to us. Numbers chapter 14, verse 2 and 3 said, all the Israelites grumbled against Moses and Aaron. And the whole assembly said to them, if only we had died in Egypt or in this wilderness, why is the Lord bringing us to this land only to let us fall by the sword? Our wives and children will be taken as plunder. Wouldn't it be better for us to go back to Egypt? When they say like that, they reached Kadesh Barnea, and then they sent 12 spies to Canaan, to researching what the land is. So there are people, what kind of people they live in. There's a farm and the mountains, every species of trees. They researching, send them 40 days. When they came back, they reported, yes, this land is surely beautiful land. There's a flow of milk and honey. But the peoples is giant. Just compare with them, we are just the grasshopper. We will die. So, except Joshua and Caleb, they all complain. After that, they say like that, why you brought us in here? Why you try to kill us? Our wife and children will be taken as a plunder. Wouldn't it be better for us to go back to Egypt? So they try to select some leaders to bring back to Egypt. God give them punish as a promise. You all people, you do not enter Canaan, except newborns in the wilderness. Like his promise, that moment, all adults, above 20s, all adults, except Joshua and Caleb, they all died. And also, there continued complaint, Numbers chapter 25, verse 1 and 2. While Israel was staying in Sittim, the man began to indulge in sexual immorality with a Moabite woman, who invited them to the sacrifice to their gods. The people ate the sacrificial meal and bow down before these gods. They already received the 10 Commandments from Mount Sinai. The 10 Commandments: do not bow down to other gods. Do not make any shape, any image. But they complain. Finally, they are involving idolatry, even a sexual immorality. What happened by God's punishment? Around 20-30 peoples died by plague. So God really angered about the sexual immorality. So Numbers chapter 25, verse 1 to 3, I already read. While Israel was staying in Sittim, the man began to indulge in sexual immorality. Yes, I read. So according to this, their sin, 23,000 people died. Even though God always, He saw their disobedience. Always. Even they answer, we will do everything God have ordered. So now, God's discipline and continued guidance. God always curse them if they are not disobeyed. But continually He also show His love and guide them. I read next page. This is better to express the sentence. God punished the Israelites when they constantly complained, but He listened to their request. If they complained that the water was bitter, He made them sweet and made them drink it. If they complained that there was no water, He struck the rock to make water come out so they could drink it. If they complained that they had nothing to eat, He sent manna and quail to provide for their basic food needs. When God sent a fiery serpent to cause death due to resentment, it means complaint, He commanded Moses to make a bronze serpent so that those bitten by the fiery serpent would be cured if they looked at the bronze serpent. There are so many stories in the Bible. They disobeyed. Then God punished. After that, He listened their complaint, resolved, provide sweet water, provide food, and then heal their disease. This is very serious, very serious. Really, we try to find out ourselves. One day, I read this Deuteronomy, long time ago. Maybe I was 20s. I'm very angry. How is available, Israel people? They saw many miracles. They complain. There is a God resolve this. Again, God give them His favor again, continually. So I think, Israel people is very bad, very evil bad. Because why? It deserved that 6 million people killed by Nazi. They still continue the war. 1980s, I was 20s, when I read Deuteronomy, the Old Testament. I think, another time I read, thank to God, I'm not born in Israel. And another time I read, why they still alive? Why they still alive? Why God they removed in this world? Already God punished them 2,000 years ago. Their nation is disappeared. Why they give them? God give them the country again? But maybe a few years ago, I found why this story in the Bible. Why God make us read continue? We are Israel. We also always disobey. We already saved because of Jesus Christ died for us. We say thank to God, thank Jesus Christ. I will serve you. But in next moment, you easily find you are in the disobedience. We are Israel. We are not playing to them. Our life is same. We were serious sinners even after we confess, we are not strongly involving obedience like Abraham. We are not a follower like Jesus Christ. He surely died. We cannot die for your neighbor. But there is many commandments, many commandments. Jesus, he gave us new commandments. Do you remember? Love each other as I love you. Last chapter time I also give you this. But we are always fail. But really, I'm not understand thing is why God not punish right now those people, including me. Why God always give us His love continually? We always disobey continued, but God always give us forgiveness, and then God give us His favor. I think one day our God is full. He knew we will disobey. But I think He seems forget our disobedience. He forgive continually. He give us His favor continually. It is the parent's mind. It is parent's mind. We are God's children. If God look like foolish, we should be foolish people. In this world, it looks very clever, very smart. But Christians, if we really followed Bible teaching, we should be foolish men. Bible all teaching say like this: you totally opposite life live. So Jesus teaches, your friend asks you, let's go 1 mile. Then with him go 2 miles. If he requests, give me your inner shirt, then your outer shirt also give him. And also your enemy, love your enemy. Somebody hit your right cheek, give him the left also. It is totally different direction in worldly teaching. We come here, listen God's word. We come here and pray. We come here, make decision, I will follow you. But what is reality? After this service finish, you go out and you go to the world. Next Monday to Saturday, what is your life? Is it surely obeyed life or a saint Israelite? This is our problem. This is our problem. Next. Then, why God give us this opportunity? Not God punish right now. If some very serious evil man, maybe some serious murderer, he killed somebody, then I hope God just give him the thunder and lightning right now, kill him. But God didn't. God didn't. And God, He walked in front of the Israelites and then crossed over the oceans, and then He listened all complain the Israelites. Even when they get into the Canaan, God helped them. So what is the reason? Number one, first it was to keep the covenant made to their ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God promised Abraham because obedience of Abraham, because of faith of Abraham, and his son Isaac, and his son Jacob. God promised them, I will give you promised land. I will give you promised land. It's not Israelites, their purity. It's not their obedience. God wants to keep his promise with their ancestor. And second, it was because of the wickedness of the Canaanites. And their land, the residents, the very evil peoples. They worship gods. They involve in very serious things, sexual immoralities, and sacrifice their children. So they are very evil. Because of that, God ordered, when you get into the Canaan, remove their tribes. Remove their tribes. Sometimes we think, even infant, kill. Wow, our God, that's too serious. Our God is the love of God. Why he order kill even infants? But infant growing up, child, growing up youth, growing up adults. Our nature, there's very evil seed is growing up. So because of why God ordered all tribes in Canaan kill them. But Israelites, they didn't. They didn't. So, and also, they never served God as their own God. When Moses' order delivered to God's promise, then they answered, we will do everything. Joshua give them some God's commands. They also say, we will. But this is Joshua chapter 1, verse 16 and 17. And they answered Joshua, all that you have commanded us, we will do. And wherever you send us, we will go. Just as we obeyed Moses in all things, so we will obey you. Only may the Lord your God be with you as he was with Moses. I highlight your God. They serve not their own God. They serve their leader's God. Moses' God and Joshua's God. So then, if you understand this, you may understand why Israelites always disobedient. So now I'm asking you, you obey your God or pastor's God, missionary's God, or your parents' God? Do you want to obey your God? What kind of God you worship and you obey? If you obey, you worship like Israelites, your leader's God, our Pastor J. Park's God, our Pastor Sang Park's God, our founder Pastor Joshua Lee's God, is problem. It's problem, really problem. Then, now what should we do? Really grabbing your God. Then you will obey his commandments. Then there is God's promise, everything. But you spent your whole time, you spent your whole energy, obey or worship their God, then his promise is useless. Not come to you, not come to your children. It's just out of your mind. Even you read the Bible 100 times, you don't understand this, it's useless. Whatever you read the Bible, then try to, this verse is to me, not to him. I give you one example. Ephesians and Colossians, there even some good teaching. Respect your parents. This is to children. The other word, do not make angry your children. Then when the people read, the parents, they read this one, and they apply. Why my children not respecting me? This word is not to parents, to children. And also other words, do not make angry your children. It is to parents. But we applied opposite. Children's applied. Why our parents make me angry? Parents say, why my children not respecting me? There's wrong application. So when you read the Bible, surely you think what God said to me today through this verse. So today it is Deuteronomy chapter 31, or there is God's promise and there is God's curse. But through this, we may know Israel people, their disobedience main reason is they do not worship their God. So even they say, we will go, only may the Lord your God be with you. They pray, God, your God be with you. They surely pray, our God be with us and be with you. Their praise is surely like that. So we do not read, but chapter 31, verse 27 say like that. It is Moses said, for I know how rebellious and stiff-necked you are. If you have been rebellious against the Lord while I am still alive and with you, how much more will you rebel after I die? Moses is a great leader. He brought around 2 million people from Egypt to Canaan. Moses, he didn't enter Canaan, but this Deuteronomy, they reminded their children they were born in wilderness. They forgot the God's commandment. So remind them. But Moses said, you have been rebellious against the Lord while I am still alive and with you. Moses, great leader, Moses showed them many miracles because of God giving the power. But after he died, he already knew how much more will you rebel after I die. You read continually the Bible, and you find Israel people continually rebelling. They continually disobey. So, my final question is this. Whom do you serve and obey? Last chapter time, I challenge you. Who is your master? Who is your master in your life? Whom do you serve and obey? This time, you surely make decision. Who live in you? Who is your master? You yourself or Jesus Christ? You welcome Jesus Christ, he dwells in you, but he is truly your Lord or your guest. You make this decision. If you want to keep him and God's promise is a blessing, then give your lordship to him, not you. So, whom do you serve and obey? The answer is surely Jesus Christ. But check out in you, who is your master?